Hey Defenders, welcome back. In this video, I want to touch on a malware analysis tool called YARA. Now YARA has been branded as the Swiss Army knife for malware researchers, and in this tutorial, I want to show you guys how we can install it on a server and use it to scan files to detect malware that has gotten onto our machine. So stick around and we'll jump into it. And alright, so a little bit about YARA. We can use YARA to scan files to detect signatures, binary patterns, strings, or Boolean expressions that make up the file to determine if they match any known malware families, right? And so we can use this as a good little antivirus tool to have running on our servers. And this can be ran on Windows, Linux, Mac OS, so a wide range of operating systems. And we can run this tool on new files that get onto our server to detect if they are known malware or not. And this is a great open source tool that has gone through a lot of development and whose development is continuing and ongoing, and is a great tool to add to our security arsenal. Right? So let's go ahead and jump into installing this guy. If you go to my GitHub, I have a repo called YARA install where I have commands that you guys can follow along with for this video. So if you just go into the YARA install repo, I have a file here called commands, and I detail out commands that can be ran depending on your operating system. So CentOS, or if you're running a Ubuntu or Debian distribution of Linux, and also Windows. So in this video, I'm going to install on a CentOS box and then also a Windows box. So on my right here, I have a CentOS 7 box that we can go ahead. That is just a brand new box. Just spun it up and have that running. And so we'll go ahead and run through these commands together. So first, I'm going to install some dependencies that we need. You can follow along, of course, with these commands. YARA's documentation also has a install section that you can follow along with as well under here. But I've I've parsed out the required commands that you guys need to be able to install version 4.1 and get you guys up and running. So here we are installing some dependencies that are required, and so I'm just going through all that here. Some of these are already installed and come pre-bundled with the CentOS 7 version that I have that I'm running, but just to make sure you can run all these commands as well, just in case you are missing some. Because YARA also comes with some modules, which we'll see here in a sec, that require some other dependencies to be able to be installed successfully. And lastly, I'll install Python 3. Probably already have it. Okay, no, I did not. Okay, good. All right, so now with our dependencies installed, we can now actually grab YARA and start to compile it from source. So I'm just gonna run a wget out to the repo. I'm gonna cd into my op directory first. After all those dependencies I tell y'all to install, I forget a simple one like wget. Let me also git clone. Or install git as well. So I may not have that either by default. Nope, I did not. Okay. All right, and now let's try wget again. So I'll reach out and grab that file. They have a bunch of different versions that you can grab. If you go to the getting started, they have their releases on their GitHub page, which can be found here. Currently, this 4.1 version was released 23 days ago, so I'm just grabbing the tar.gz file. And now let's go ahead and extract this guy. get this guy out. All right, so it's extracted. Now I'm going to cd into the YARA 4.1 directories. So now within my op directory, I have this YARA directory. So I'll cd into that guy. And then here we will run the bootstrap command. So we'll paste that in. And then once this is complete, we're going to then configure it, and we're going to tell YARA some modules to enable as part of our install. So with YARA, you can include different modules, which will extend YARA's features. So for example, if I want to do like some hash scanning, I can enable that module. .NET scanning, I can enable that. This cuckoo, I can enable that by default. And so these modules are just extensions onto YARA's kind of base install for depending on what you want to do. There's another one called YExtend, I think. Yeah, this YExtend, which allows you to have YARA scan compressed files such as zip or tar files, so you don't have to unzip or extract them for YARA to be able to scan them successfully. So, or you can build your own modules as well. That's a little out of the scope for this video, so we're just going to go off of some. You can do a lot already with the already written modules that the YARA guys provide. So we will go ahead and some of these modules require some of these other dependencies. Like for example, this Jansen one is required for the cuckoo module. So we'll go ahead. So that's why, but we already have that out of the way. So I'll run this configure. All right, and now that that's been done and our configuration enablement have been set, let's go ahead and run a make. And we're gonna go ahead and build YARA. And you can see some of the modules coming in, right? You see this module slash, and you see some of our, the ones that we've enabled, for example, Cuckoo, the .NET we enabled. So you see those being built out as well. So you should see those being built out. If you don't, make sure that you have the enablement parameters are set correctly during your configure command. All right, so we run a make, and now let's do a make install. And we have now installed YARA. And we can quickly do a make check. Just kind of runs a health check to verify that YARA has been installed and its modules have been installed correctly. And you should see the output of pass. And we'll get a summary here in a sec as well as to the status. All right, so all 15 passed, so that's good. So YARA looks to be installed correctly and successfully. We can also just run a quick test to make sure that it is all installed successfully, and they provide that simple test down here. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to create a file called my first rule, and then I'm going to have YARA scan that file, and it should just output the rule or the text dummy here. So just a very simple test. You can just copy and paste from their documentation, and I can see that it outputted the contents of the file. So that's good. We didn't get any errors of YARA failing, so it looks like YARA has been installed successfully. So now we have the tool, right? But now we need to grab rules so that the tool can compare contents of files against our rules, right? We need to provide YARA with the rule set and say, hey, if any contents of this file match any of these rules, then I know that it's malware, right? So now YARA can call and say, hey, this file matches some strings or a hash of the contents of this rule, and I know that it's malicious. So YARA is no good, just like a lot of security tools such as Wazoo, Suricata are no good without rules, right? So you're only as powerful as your rules are, and you can write your own YARA rules, which is great. There's also a really good repo that we can use that comes bundled with a lot of rules already, and is updated constantly. So what I can do is within the YARA directory here, I'll just run a git clone out to this guy, and this will create now a rules directory. So we have this guy here, and we can actually go and check that GitHub out. So if we view it within our browser here, we have a rules directory, and we now get access to all of these rules, right? So and all these rules end with a .yar syntax. So you can see the last update was 28 years ago. So if we look at, for example, like this crypto index.yar, this instructs YARA to include all rule files within the crypto directory. It categorizes them for us. So then if we actually drill down into the crypto signatures.yar file, we see all of these rules already. And we can just grab and use these. We don't have to create our own, which is great. And malware researchers are constantly updating these signatures as they discover new malware through their own research. So this is a great tool. This is a great rule set to add to YARA. So if we cd into our rules directory, we see everything that we see within the GitHub in our browser here. So we see all of our categories. We see a crypto. So if we go into this crypto directory, we have this .yar file. And so all of YARA rule files need to end in this .yar or else YARA will fail out. If we do a YARA -- version, we'll see we're on version 4.1. And that all looks good. So what we can do is back out a few and let me now install some malware onto this box, and we'll scan it with YARA, see if it picks it up and see what happens. So I'll go to our malware friend. Here. If you've seen some of my other previous videos, I like to use this guy's collection of known malware to test my antivirus tools. So let's go ahead and do this crypto one. So let me find a coin mine. Oh, here we go. I'll grab this coin miner, which is just malware that hijacks your CPU to mine for cryptocurrencies, right? So I'll go ahead and copy that link address and run a wget and grab this guy and let me extract it. So I'll do an unzip, and the password is infected, all lowercase. So I'll do that, and now the file resides on my box. So now let's use YARA to scan this guy and see if there's any malicious signatures within this. And so now let's go ahead and scan this file with YARA and see what signatures it match. So I'll go ahead and run YARA, and then I will point to my rules file. So that's stored in opt YARA 4.1 rules. I'm going to use the crypto. I'm going to scan this file since it's a coin miner. So it should have cryptography within it, and I will scan it with the crypto index.yar. So I don't need to point to this specific crypto directory because this crypto index.yar includes all files within that directory, right? So if I select the crypto index.yar here, we see that it includes the YARA rule file within crypto. So it's a nice way to categorize and bundle up all of our rules within a specific category. So I will do that, and now I will point to the file that we just downloaded. So 46f. So I'm calling YARA. I'm then telling YARA, hey, use this rule, this set of rules to scan this file. And I will go ahead and hit enter. And we see that YARA scanned and scanned it very quickly. And we see that it matched on four hits, right? So YARA is now outputting to us, hey, this file matched 4 malicious signatures. And it names them out for us. So if we actually go into the rule file, we should see a MD5 constants. So if we go into rules and then crypto and then search, oh, I don't have nano, damn it. I failed again. I always try to do those things proactively for you guys so you don't have to watch me struggle. But if I search for MD5, we see the rule here, MD5 constants, and we see the strings that it's searching for to detect and the specific condition it needs to match on 5 of them. So these rules are really flexible that can be written, and that might call for another video of how to write our own YARA rules and some of the parameters and options that we can use for that. I won't get into that in this video, so look forward for future videos where we cover that topic. But we see what this rule is composed of, right? And it has to match on 5 of them, and YARA is saying, hey, we matched on this MD5 constants rule. And then also these other 3 as well. So then if I do like a strings and then point to the file 46 strings with an S and then point to this file, we output all of the hex and strings within it. And so YARA, what essentially YARA was doing was kind of the same thing and then comparing it against the strings within our rule. So you can see how unuser friendly this is, but YARA can now run this for us and output it accordingly. These warning messages here are simply just warnings. If you see this as well, there's no reason to be concerned. It's just telling you, hey, this string may match on a lot, so it may slow down your scanning. But YARA's performance has proven to be very fast and very efficient and very lightweight, and has been for years now. So it's in a pretty good state. And granted, depending on the directory that you're scanning, so I could also point this to a full directory, right? Instead of just a specific file, I could say, hey, let's run that same command, but let's do it on the whole opt directory, right? So I could run that, and it's running through that whole opt directory and scanning every file that it can. And actually, without even including that extend, it actually found some malicious content within the zip file even, so before we even extracted it. So that's great news. That's good to see. So we don't even have to include that extend for it to analyze and detect some malicious signatures within a zip file. So that's awesome. And we can, as you can see, we get the same output here, running it against a whole directory. So granted, depending on the number of files within a particular directory, how many directories you're scanning on, will have different impact of how fast YARA can run and how CPU intensive a YARA scan can be. But this is a great tool to add to your arsenal. And this is installed locally on servers, right? So a YARA instance can be spun up on all servers within your environment, and you can use this tool as an antivirus system and use it to scan files on your servers to detect if any malware has hit your box or not. And in the next video, we will use Wazoo and Wazoo's active response to automate this process for us. So anytime a new file hits our server, we will have Wazoo run YARA against it to then output to us if the file has matched any signatures or not. But now let's progress to the Windows install. And all right, so I have my Windows box here. So now I just need to download the zip file that holds the YARA executable, which can just be done easily from my browser here. So if I go to YARA's GitHub, go to their 4.1 release, and then I have a 64-bit Windows box, so they also have a version for 32-bit as well. And I'll have that downloaded and just need to extract that. And yeah, I'll just extract it there, that's fine. Okay, and now we also need to grab our rule file. So I'll do the same thing. Go to the rules repo that we grabbed for the Linux box as well. So same set of rules here. I'll just download the zip file into my, and then go into my file explorer and then extract this guy. Oh, looks like Windows Defender popped off on it. Let me turn that off real quick. All right, let's try that again. Download zip. Okay. All right, that looks better. So let me actually copy this into my YARA. All right, and so yeah, so that's simple and easy. And if I now open up a command prompt, I can navigate to this directory, and from here I'll be able to call the YARA exe, and I can specify it to then compare against our rules. So rules/rules master/index.yar. Okay, so that looks good. We got an error because we haven't provided it a file to scan, which is fine. So now let's go to our malware friend. All right, and we can just grab the coin miner one again. So I'll just select that, and it should be under downloads here. And let me also extract this to here. Get the password of infected. All right, let me clear that out for you guys. All right, and let's now go ahead and run a scan against that guy. Calling the YARA 64bit.exe, right? I'm pointing to my my index.yar file, right? So I'm specifying the rules that I want YARA to scan against. And now I'm going to point to that file. Not file name, starts with a 46F. So if I do 46F, here we go. All right, and now let's run a scan. So that'll run through. Again, it's just giving us some warnings about some slowness that may occur because of how some of our rules are built, which is fine, and we can disregard those. And look how many popped off against this guy. Right? So similar to what we saw in the Linux world, right? Windows is a little easier even because you don't have to worry about installing all of the dependencies that we had to do on the Linux box. So yeah, so pretty easy and straightforward. We just continually call the exe and specify the file that we want it to scan, or directory. You're not limited to just one or the other. You can mix and match as you want. And I appreciate you guys hanging out with me in this video. In the next one, we'll actually integrate YARA with Wazoo so that we can use Wazoo to run YARA scans for us automatically, right? So right now it's still taking manual intervention to log onto the box and manually scan the file, where I want to make that easier with Wazoo. So stay tuned for that video, and I will see you all there.